Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Erik Voss, and Marvel's What If Season 3 is complete, bringing an end to 3 seasons of infinite possibilities within Marvel's animated multiverse. And by infinite, I mean kinda infinite. What exactly happened in these final episodes? How do they set up Fantastic Four first steps in Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars? What additional Elseworlds were implied in these blink and you'll miss it flashes that were left out of the show? And really, just what happened with this series? In a separate video, we will properly break down all 8 episodes of this final season, all the Easter eggs and animation details that you missed, but we needed a bit more time to do that well, since this all came out while we were on holiday break and dealing with all kinds of illnesses. In this video, I'm just gonna quickly recap the final season and break down the big implications of this ending. And yes, this is the final video coming out on the New Rockstars channel in 2024, and the full New Rockstars team is so grateful that you spent the year with us, and we are even more excited for 2025, and the best way that you can join us on this journey is to become a member of this channel by hitting that join button. There are all kinds of special perks exclusive only to members, including a new tier we're rolling out that gives you access to ad-free versions of our videos. Just something to consider if you're able to support us, please and thank you. Okay, Marvel's What If began its first season as a modest anthology series hopping among separate universes that ended by revealing all of these stories were connected in a scheme by a sympathetic watcher, Uatu, intervening in the lives of these Marvel heroes to assemble the Guardians of the Multiverse, a team led by Captain Peggy Carter. This continued into season 2, which ended with the return of the tragic figure from season 1, Strange Supreme, who we learn had been capturing universe killers in his Sanctum Infinitum, planning to feed them to his forge to resurrect his original, now dead universe. Captain Carter teams up with season 2 newcomer Kahhori to defeat Strange by equipping themselves with a completely over-the-top mess of Marvel trinkets, and season 2 ends with the Watcher showing Captain Carter the multiverse as it was established at the end of the Loki series in the form of a Yggdrasil tree of timelines. Season 3 was 8 episodes, a mixed bag of nerdy dream concepts and team-ups that really all came together at the end to try to resolve the Watcher's repeated breakings of his sacred vow to never intervene, and Captain Carter's devotion to him for doing just that. Season 3 episode 1, What If the Hulk Fought the Mech Avengers, explored a reality where Sam Wilson met Bruce Banner and counseled him on his fear of his inner rage monster, leading to Banner extracting his Hulk identity and accidentally starting a Gamma War on Earth where his monstrous Hulk identity grew and replicated into an army of giant kaijus. The Avengers respond with giant mech suits of their own, a Gundam Wing, Ultraman, Power Rangers, Pacific Rim homage, with the OG Avengers falling, replaced by Sam Wilson, Monica Rambeau, Bucky Barnes, Mark Spector, Alexei Shostakov, Melina Vostokov, Shang-Chi, and Nakia. Season 3 episode 2, What If Agatha Went to Hollywood? Agatha Harkness, the witch, senses Tiamat gestating inside Earth and plans to siphon his power, enacting a plan where she becomes a Hollywood movie star in the Golden Age. Howard Stark is an ambitious filmmaker like Howard Hughes or Cecil B. DeMille. Agatha finds her co-star Kingo, the Eternal, and takes his power to stop the emergence, she says, which alerts Arishem to come to Earth. But then Agatha creates her ritual where she takes Tiamat's power and then fights Arishem in Earth's orbit, taking Arishem's power too. And despite becoming a cosmic goddess, Kingo is able to convince her that she can do more good as an inspirational movie star. And a side note, I loved seeing an episode exploring Agatha's Hollywood era, because when I broke down episodes of Agatha all along and tried to piece together this witch's history in the 20th century, I deduced that she must have spent some time in Hollywood in the 1930s based on her in episode 7, indicating that Margaret Hamilton's Wicked Witch of the West in 1939's The Wizard of Oz was based on her. So really, the what if of this episode isn't what if Agatha was in Hollywood, it's what if Agatha found out about Tiamat and the Celestials and that star power went to her head, which makes for a pretty fun hypothetical. Season 3 episode 3, What If the Red Guardian Stopped the Winter Soldier, explores if Alexei Shostakov in 1991 stopped Bucky from killing Tony Stark's parents, Howard and Maria, which leads to a team up with these two in the style of Thelma and Louise or Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, fleeing Bill Foster and Ranger Morales, learning that the Rook, codename who sold out Howard Stark to the Russians, was actually Obadiah Stane, suggesting that Obadiah Stane in the live action Sacred Timeline continuity might have also been involved in that conspiracy. Red Guardian ends up joining the Avengers in the current era. Season 3 episode 4, What If Howard the Duck Got Hitched? A completely bonkers follow-up to season 1 episode 7, Thor's Party on Earth, which remember set up Darcy Lewis and Howard the Duck to get half off nachos, and now these two have actually gotten married and somehow have have a baby egg that, due to its arrival at the Convergence, is sought after by nearly every MCU being. The Grandmaster, Caecilius and his followers, Malekith and his Dark Elves, Laufey and his Frost Giants, Zeus, Thanos and the Black Order. Some Skrulls, I think, are in that chase. It all goes down on Jotunheim, and this egg ends up hatching into their bumbling daughter, Birdie. Season 3, Episode 5, What If the Emergence Destroyed Earth, explores a post-apocalyptic Earth had Tiamat actually emerged before the Eternals were able to unite to stop him. Mysterio, Quentin Beck, overtakes Stark Industries and creates the Iron Federation drones to take control over the survivors of the pieces of the planet. This army is led by White Vision. Riri Williams is recruited by the Alliance, consisting of Wong, Okoye, Valkyrie, and Yingnan, Shang-Chi's mother. Riri uses Vision's nanotech to become a human synthezoid hybrid, but gets caught in one of Mysterio's illusions as Mysterio and his failing health from the nanites he put in his bloodstream is dying, and he planned to siphon the Vision parts from her, but the Watcher intervenes in this key moment and tells her to fight back, causing the other three Watchers to be pissed. Season 3, Episode 6, What If 1872, an episode in the Old West, with Shang-Chi teaming up with Hawkeye Kate Bishop to find Shang-Chi's sister, Xialing. They're worried about the Hood, who has been subjugating Chinese immigrants in the Old West, using an enforcer, Sonny Birch, from Ant-Man and the Wasp. On their way, they meet a young Kwai Jun-fan, an alternate Iron Fist to Danny Rand in the comics. This episode actually ends with this kid being set up as a new Iron Fist, and the big twist is Xialing actually was that Hood, who was just corrupted by this cloth that escapes in the wind by the end of the episode. Yes, it is suggested this is the same Hood that we will see in the upcoming Ironheart series. Season 3, Episode 7, What If the Watcher Disappeared? All right, we're getting to the end game here. The Watcher faces trial from the other three Watchers, the Eminence, the Incarnate, and the Executioner. Captain Carter returns with a team of exiles, including Kahhori from the end of Season 2, as well as a grown-up Birdie, voiced by Natasha Lyonne, and Storm, wielding Mjolnir, X-Men the Animated Series voice actor Allison Seeley Smith returning to voice Aurora Monroe now. They have a foosball table with a ton of Marvel cameos, including Galactus, Sue Storm, and Iron Fist, and we see how Captain Carter has Kang's time pod from Quantumania, implying that in this animated universe, this exile team has defeated, or at least taken the technology of, at least that one exiled Kang the Conqueror from Quantumania, maybe even come across the entire Kang dynasty. We don't know if they defeated them or if they just know them, but they know how to use this chair. Look at your sidebar right now. How much do you think the algorithm is showing you what it thinks you want to see versus what's actually out there to be seen? The news is no different, and that's why I use Ground News, because they gather multiple perspectives in one place so I can make up my own mind without an issue. Swiping through headlines with context on how politically biased a source is, their credibility, and who's funding the conversation has made finding the truth easier than ever for me. For example, we've all heard about the assassination of United Healthcare CEO. Ground News found hundreds of articles reporting on this that can all agree on the symbolic nature of the attack. Whether you think of the murderer as a villain or anti-hero, it's an example of a story with multiple narratives that can influence the coverage you read. Without Ground News, you'd never know more than 50% of this story's narrative is controlled by corporate interests and other hidden agendas. That's why one of my favorite features is their blind spot feed. It highlights important stories missing from different media bubbles. That way, I'm not risking only seeing one angle that completely skews my perception. Ground News is fixing what's been broken in the media landscape for a long time. Supporting them not only supports our channel, but also keeps independent voices alive in a world that's increasingly overpowered by clickbait and algorithms. Go to ground.news/rockstars or scan my QR code for Ground News' biggest discount of the year, 50% off their Vantage plan, so you can dig deeper without feeling overwhelmed. The exiles save Nova Prime Nebula, who returns from the Season 2 premiere. They realize from broken shards of the fifth dimension that Uatu is in trouble, and after some failed experiments with the shards, they realize that they need to find Infinity Ultron, the villain from the end of Season 1, and Carter goes alone to save Uatu. Leading us to the finale, Season 3, Episode 8, What If Uatu and Carter are saved from the three Watchers by Ultron Infinity, and they escape with Storm and Kahhori and Birdie. There's an important line in this episode in which we learn that Uatu the Watcher also saved some version of Reed Richards and Madison with a Y and two N's from She-Hulk. But the Reed Richards part of it is a very big deal because it tells us that we might see a live action Jeffrey Wright the Watcher in Fantastic Four First Steps, because in the 1960s Galactus arc that Marvel Studios told us to read for this movie. It is the Watcher who warns Reed Richards about Galactus and the Silver Surfer's approach to Earth. I think we might see that in that movie this summer. The three Watchers armor up and everyone fights to a standstill. The Watchers try to erase every version of these four exiles from existence, and we see some crazy variants of these four women blasting off the back of them. For Captain Carter, we see her as, I'm pretty sure that's Wolverine, her as Black Knight, her as Sabretooth, her as Elektra, her as the Mighty Thor, and then maybe Peggy as Deathlock. For Kahhori, we see her as Insaba Nur, aka Apocalypse, the X-Men villain. Then Kahhori as, I think, Namor. Then Kahhori as a Captain America variant with some blue winged headgear. Fascinating to imagine. What if Captain America was an indigenous American? Then Kahhori as, I think that's Marvel character Cloak. And then Kahhori in a classic X-Men suit. For Storm, we see Storm as a Black Panther, which is very interesting. Aurora Monroe and T'Challa do get married in the comics. Aurora does come from Kenyan royalty. Kind of crazy to imagine a reality where she might be the Black Panther. We see Birdie as Nova, just a duck, like a DuckTales style duck. Her father is Howard the Duck. And we see Birdie as one of the X-Men. And at first I thought this might be as Jean Grey, but I actually think this is Archangel. So the Watcher gives these three exiles the powers of Watchers themselves. Carter sacrifices herself and transports everyone to Strange Supreme's universe, where he is a living form of eternity. Uatu convinces the Eminence that he can learn a lot more, not just by watching, but by seeing, to care about them. And when something awful is happening in the world that you're seeing, to step in and change it for the better. Captain Carter's death suggests that if Haley Atwell returns in Avengers Doomsday, it will not be that same exact Captain Carter who went through the events of the What If animated series. The one physical link I think we will get from the series in Fantastic Four First Steps and Doomsday and Secret Wars will be Jeffrey Wright as a live action version of the Watcher, probably looking similar to the design of the Watchers that we saw in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. In fact, I think that group of Watchers might even be these three Watchers that we saw in What If when they were talking to Stan Lee. And yes, Natasha Lyonne is playing some other unknown role in Fantastic Four First Steps. I pray that it is not Birdie. I just think it'd be kind of weird if in this alternate universe Fantastic Four movie we're getting this summer, we're gonna get Howard the Duck and Darcy Lewis's kid. And we end this finale with the Watcher narrating over a montage of other hypothetical Marvel scenarios that we never got to see episodes for. We see a samurai Ghost Rider. We see a six-armed Spider-Man. There's Riri Williams as the Punisher, some character that's a merge of the Wasp, but also Kamala Khan Miss Marvel with an embiggened fist. That we see Blade as Moon Knight, a Kingo version of Iron Man, a Weapon X version of Thanos, Gamora as Gore the God Butcher, a Scarlet Witch version of Howard the Duck, Jubilee as the Silver Surfer, a dragon version of Hawkeye, Deadpool, who looks fully cabled out with a bunch of Rob Liefeld on his back, a variant of Cersei. We see a Skrull version of Captain America. We see Hela as her girl form from the immersive VR game that we actually broke down on this channel. It was an amazing game and you should watch that video. We see Maestro as Doctor Strange, Star-Lord with the 10 rings, and then a Scarlet Witch variant. This is actually Scarlet Witch Infinity from the immersive VR game, and a Western themed Loki. These would have been pretty cool to see in actual episodes, and they speak to both the best qualities and the most frustrating qualities of this What If series as we look back on it. Marvel Studios' What If in season 1 had such a strong start, but seasons 2 and 3 seemed to drop off, with a few good episodes mixed in with a lot of indulgent plots and needless team-ups. And in season 3, it was with, let's be honest, the B characters of phases 4 and 5 that felt like just the characters Marvel's executives told these writers, oh sure, you can screw around with these ones, we don't care if you break them. Like the comics they're based on, What If the animated series worked best, in my opinion, when it took specific absolutisms about Marvel characters. What if T'Challa got kidnapped by Ravagers by accident instead of Peter Quill? What if Hank Pym never got over the disappearance of Janet? What if Christine Palmer got in the car accident instead of Stephen Strange and he tried to save her with the time stone? What if just a zombie virus infected the MCU that we know? But in seasons 2 and 3, it's almost like Marvel Studios ordered the What If writers to blow out the world with their dream team-ups and genres and then work backward to build up to that scenario. Like Nebula as a Blade Runner Nova Corps, a Die Hard episode in Avengers Tower with Happy Hogan, 1602 Avengers, Mech Avengers, classic Hollywood musical with Agatha and Kingo, 1872 Old West with Shang-Chi and Kate Bishop. And as we got through these genres, we really had to dig for what exactly the specific linchpin moment was that organically led to that Elseworld. Hey, maybe these genres are exactly what you wanted and this approach worked for you. If so, awesome. I do not want to yuck your yum. It's just that in seasons 2 and 3, it seemed like they were taking narrative shortcuts that they didn't permit themselves to take in season 1. They just started teaming up everyone with everyone and scaling up everyone's power sets without limit and leaving these awesome storylines on the cutting room floor. But that's just just my opinion on this season. I want to hear from you. What was your favorite episode? And what was your impression of What If overall? Comment down below, subscribe to New Rockstars, and please hit that join button to support this channel as a member. You can follow me at EA Voss. Thanks for watching. And one final note for the What If animators, y'all have some interesting fetishes that you put all over the series. I won't say which, but you thought I wouldn't notice, but I did.